All right, welcome back. Like we said earlier, His Royal Majesty, I said her, His Royal Majesty Oba Bamidele Oba Itan Olososo of Ososo Okodu. The third is the traditional ruler of Ososo Kingdom in Akoko, Edo local government area of Edo State. Yes.
Yeah, welcome to Silver Birch today. Before now, I've had this conversation with someone. He said he was from Edo State, and what just came to my mind, are you Benin? And he's like, I am not Benin. So what most Nigerians know that once you're from Edo State, you're Benin. Then again, I was made to realize that there are other rich cultures who are actually even bigger than the whole Benin itself.
Very true, very true.
And today you're one of those from Ososo, and you're the Olososo of Ososo right now. So please, tell us more about this rich cultural heritage of Ososo people.
Well, first of all, I mean, anybody should be proud to be from the great kingdom of Benin, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at the history, a lot of different kingdoms, a lot of different communities migrated from Benin to where they are now. So we all have that Benin influence, Of course, over the years, there were influence of other tribes, there were, tribal wars. And so other tribes came in, and there's kind of like a mixture, amalgamation, if you want to say, of different cultures that have now come into different communities. So like in Ososo now, you have some influence of Igbira, you will have, of course, Benin, you will have Igala, because over time, people migrated and settled where they are.
Exactly,
so you have different influences. We're also heavily influenced by the Yoruba, because we border with Ondo State, we border with Kogi State. So you become like a hybrid, community. So yes, we have our indigenous Ososo language and our indigenous Ososo traditions and culture. But over time, some came from Benin.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay. So just to add to the part that you're also a pharmacist, traditional trained pharmacist. But we'll talk about that later. It's currently International Women's Month. It's not just day, month.
Exactly.
From a traditional leader's perspective, how is it important to recognize the role of women in society? It's really in your social community, impact of women,
Well, I had an interview a few days ago, and I say this, with all seriousness. In our history in Ososo, I can easily say the women saved the throne, right? I also say that no society can progress or prosper unless you empower the women and the girl child, right? So for me, I'm very, very, I read it as a high priority to make sure the women are supported, that we provide opportunities, we provide different modalities for them to generate income, because whether we like it or not as men, no man came into this world. We all came through women, and so for me, I really put our women on a pedestal, because that's where they deserve to be, we all have our mothers who have taught us the way, they nurtured us and made us who we are today, right? This is not to take away from the men, but this is International Women's Day. And like I said, it's very important that we make sure women are taken care of, because at the end of the day, when a woman gets something, she's always thinking of the family first, the children, the husband. So making sure that the husband's taken care of. So women are the nucleus. I'd say they're the powerhouse of society, and they must be taken care of.
Now I'm very curious about your first sentence. You said women saved the throne of Ososo. I would love to hear more about that, and how have women contributed to the growth and stability of a community like Ososo?
Well, like I said, they take care of families, and the family unit is really what makes a community strong.
True.
If you have families that are falling apart, let's even look at some of the challenges we have in our country today. If you have kids that are not being trained, nobody's showing them the right way. It could be taking them to church or taking them to the mosque, imbuing in them certain values, that they'll carry with them for life. If that aspect is missing, then you're going to have a society that's in chaos, right? So I look at some of the challenges, even let's take it down to my own community, right? Over the years, I know when I left, I went to ICC Benin City, I went to UNIBEN, right? When I left the country and went to the US, I transferred to the US to continue pharmacy school at Temple University in Philadelphia. I know what our belief system, our core belief system, we always talk about respect for elders, right? So if I was in class 2 and a class 3 student sent me on a message, I must go,
Of course.
Now people, even the young ones will challenge somebody as significant in the community as a chief. You can imagine, right? So I think there's a lot that has gone wrong in our society. I think we need to do a reorientation in how we value one another, right? You see it in the way, in traffic. Somebody who could easily let you go by and then take turns. No, everybody has to go.
Yeah.
So I think, we really need to take a step back and do some self-reflection, on our society and what kind of society do we want moving forward? Because it's not just going to be government. Everybody blames government.
Exactly.
Yes, government could do more. There needs to be some order. Because I said this the other day too. Nigerians, if you go abroad, no matter which sector you go into, Nigerians are at the top of their game.
Obviously, yeah.
You go to UK, you go to US, Nigerian doctors are widely acclaimed. They're doing big things. Engineering, same thing. Law, same thing. So what is it about, Nigeria here? Of course, we have very, very astute lawyers and doctors here, but are they being supported? Are they working in a system, an orderly system that works?
Okay, so how can society support women? I'm even looking at it from the angle of on the local community level, like women being in maybe your chiefs and all of that, all those kind of conversations where women, because what we have traditionally is men are the ones primarily who get into power.
Yes.
But how are you supporting women, because it's International Women's Day, to say maybe you have like 5 women on your council seats, or you have 5 women? We're just doing that conversation of how
are
as a
women
leader,
supported?
you are supported women and are still
drilling
supporting
down
women.
into Ososo community. So
yes.
we have women of the palace, right? So they support the palace. They work with my wife, the Olori. They work. I'm blessed to have Queen Mother still alive, so they work together. Anything that happens in the community, the women are carried along. Women must be represented. That's just my personal belief, right? So, for example, as I'm attracting investors to come into Ososo community, whatever contracts are distributed, it could be a community development agreement. Women must be represented. We have the Ekbodo women. They are also supported. They support the palace. They say prayers. We also support them. Going by what my mother has been doing for decades in organizing women, supporting them with, pulling together finances and say, okay, you launch this business, you go into this trading.
Nice.
That's something we're still doing, and we hope to do even more of that. The Catholic Women's Association, yes, we support them as well. Recently, my wife called the Muslim women to bring them to the palace to say, okay, what are your needs? We want to hear from the women in our community and see how they can be supported in whatever their interests may be, right? Recently, we launched a Starlink program because we're in an area where the topography is extremely rocky. So even though we have the presence of Glo and MTN, I think Airtel is a bit shaky there. We have calls that drop. Sometimes the network is down. So what I was able to do is attract some support from friends abroad to launch Starlink. We have 5 quarters in Ososo Kingdom. Each quarter now has a Starlink location. So if you go there with your smartphone, and this is also to help boost tourism, because the whole tourism experience has to be shared. Everybody's on social media. We want to share what's going on with you. So if you come to Ososo, it's very easy for you to link up on Starlink, upload. It's very, very fast, internet, link up, do voicemails, do, calls, internet calls. So these are all things that we're doing to support the women too, because the women trade, the POS now, they're not looking for a signal.
This is
it's
good.
a strong signal, right? So those are the things that we're trying to bring, because like I said, you can't always focus on, we all get together, when Nigerians get together, we talk about the problems of Nigeria.
But the solution.
Let's focus on the solutions.
Exactly.
And luckily, we're living in an age of AI, machine learning, tech, that provide solutions. Even this power, like my palace, we have solar, we have inverter, so you need to make sure that you're providing a quality of life for your people, and that's really what's priority to me. Especially focusing on the women. As we said, this is International Women's Month, right?
So from the women, let's talk about the youth, right? That's the youth of every society. It's like they're like the major leaders of that society, right? Now. So what is your community actually doing to better the lives of the youths in Ososo?
Well, I can tell you, I think this goes not just within my community. Nationwide, we have the most vibrant youth. We have, I always say, the youths have this energy, and if we don't channel that energy, it could become a problem, right? So there's a lot of apathy with the youths. You know, for me, I say I'm a pharmacist, but I've also become a farmer, right? So I'm farming. You know, a lot of what I eat, I grow myself.
Wow.
And so I'm trying to get the youth to come back to farming.
farming,
If you all may be too young, the days of the Midwestern, you know, state, you know, Midwestern region,
Yes.
we were big
60s.
farmers. We were exporting cocoa, rubber, palm oil. You know, it was our mainstay, right? When we discovered oil, everybody kind of
Everybody moved.
pivoted and went a different direction. I say we need to go back to farming. There's a lot of money to be made in farming, right?
Okay.
I've started farming. I've invited the youth to join me. A lot of them have not shown interest. You understand what I'm saying? So that's part of the reason why I also thought Starlink would be something that at least keep the youth engaged, because
Engage, yeah.
a lot of them want to be social media
Influencers.
influencers,
Yeah.
content creators. I'm working on some other things right now. There's this young Igbo artist I brought from the US some time ago to do a collaboration project with our local artists.
Okay.
And so I'm talking to him about, you know, maybe putting a recording studio, sound engineering academy there, right?
Okay.
So if I can walk away, leaving behind, you know,
That
when I pass
legacy.
on, I leave
Yeah.
on, if I can bring out 20 Burna Boys, 20 Davidos, Wizkids, right? My community will
legacy
be
right
in
there.
great hands.
So let's
right?
talk about the
Yeah.
tourism. 'Cause I noticed the mountains and all those very interesting tourists. So what opportunities exist for visitors, you know, visiting? Because it's known for its natural beauty
Yes.
and cultural heritage. And the conversation of tourism is big now. Every place is, I was in Badagry over the weekend. And just so many things that you can learn from the conversation of all these places. So what is also doing when it comes to tourism, you know, and how it contributes to community development?
Well, tourism is, you know, Soso historically was known for tourism. When the British were here, they built, you know, we even have a tourist center that's there. Unfortunately, it's not where I'd like to see it as far as development, right? And, you know, once certain legalities are straightened out, I'd like to see that turn into a world-class tourist center. I've looked over the area, brought in investors to think about putting in a golf course, you know, put in a polo field and
that's
stables.
nice.
So tourists can come in there and totally disconnect from the hustle and bustle of a place like Lagos, right? I would expect you guys to say, okay, I'm fed up. I just need to get away and
One
view
way to
nature.
get
You can
free.
come to Ososo as it is today and go and climb Oruku Mountain.
I hear there's so many
Oruku is the
mountains.
Yeah,
highest
so
point in
mountains,
Edo
yeah.
State,
Oruku,
right?
okay.
You can come, the youths, you know, we have people who are trained tour guides that can take you around Ososo and kind of give you a historical aspect of Ososo. Take you to different sites. If you're a bird watcher, we have a diverse array of birds.
Wow.
And they're just lovely places. The granitic structures will blow your mind. Okay?
Okay.
So come there. Eventually, the plan is, like I mentioned, the golf course, mentioned a polo field. For the youths, I would like to have a standard soccer pitch, you know. The plan moving forward is to have youth centers where, because I've seen our young football players, we have talent.
Yes.
They can play in the European League as they are today.
This is good.
But nobody's nurturing that. Nobody's
Exactly,
showing them the way. I've spoken to some of our Akoko Edo corporate leaders about, you know, setting up a leadership academy where we get the brightest of all the different, you know, within our schools, all the different schools, bring in the best and brightest and nurture them. Give them a laptop, a smartphone, but then take them through different companies and show them, you know, the way of the corporate world. Work with them on public speaking, presentation,
This is
right?
nice.
So these are all things that we need to do because, to your point, Nigeria is very blessed to have young, vibrant, intelligent youth. But as the saying goes, an idle mind is a devil's workshop. So we need to harness these youth, the energy, the passion, and set them up for success moving forward. The Western world right now, they're aging out. You know, the rate at which they're having childbirth is not enough to sustain their population.
Yeah.
So I think we are in a very opportune space right now that if we set our youth up for success,
It would.
they're going to be coming to us to strike some kind of balance about legal migration there so that our youth can go there and keep economies afloat. Of course, there has to be an arrangement that's also favorable to both parties.
Okay, so
Right?
just to ask one last question before we mess up with a message for is what spurred you to become like a leader? Because not many people really want to take up the when I say leadership, especially traditional leadership here in Nigeria. So what was the motivating factor
The fact
for you
that
to
you from the US, you're a pharmacist,
but
and
you're,
all
of course you
that.
lived in Nigeria,
Yeah.
you know, homegrown. But what was the motivating factor? You know, deciding to go into, would I say, culture, deep-rooted culture as a traditional leader?
Well, I mean, there's a sense of duty, you know, because I'm not the first son. I have an older brother who is a doctor in the U.S. in Dallas, right?
Okay.
So this was never, I never thought this was going to be my path, right? But when, you know, certain call comes through, especially at my phase in life now, which I'm all about giving back, you know, everything kind of coincided to make me come home. The other thing I will say, and I say this with all due sense of seriousness and pride, Nigeria puts in you something. Like I said, my greatness, my success in US came from my time here in Nigeria, in Benin City. You know, going through ICC, my time at Univen. If you can make it in Nigeria, you can make it anywhere.
You can make it anywhere.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for me, I have 11-year-old twins.
Wow.
And everybody was looking at me when I came back home. They're like, you're giving up all this, you know, I was making good money, you're giving up this lifestyle, you know, home paid off, this and that. And you're coming, everybody's trying to leave Nigeria, you're going against
back,
direction. And I tell them this, you know, my wife is a white American. And I said this, I said, we will be doing our children a disservice if they don't come and grow up in Nigeria. You understand? I said, the man you fell in love with, it's Nigeria that made me who I am today. You understand? So my kids are here, they're seeing everything, you know, of course they like the creature comforts of being abroad, but there's an education they're getting by being in Nigeria that you can't get anywhere else. So I say that to our youth here, it's like, you know, do what you can to learn. Do what you can to persevere. Because Nigeria is putting in you something that you can't even put a value on. You know, our responsibility as the older generation is to provide opportunities for that, for you, you know, you the younger generation. And I don't, in all honesty, I don't think we've done a good enough job. I say to my colleagues that at the end of the day, what do you, when you're, everyone will die, everyone will pass on. What do you want to be remembered for? You know, how many houses can one man live in? How many cars can one man drive?
How many rooms can you live in?
Exactly. So I think we need to have a rethink about the way we're moving forward in this country. You know, we owe a responsibility to the next generation to give them an enabling environment to thrive.
Wow, thank you so much. You said so much, of course, still celebrating International Women's Day. And I think your message is very apt in terms of supporting women, the conversation on how women can thrive, because it's give to gain, and how they should thrive in your community, just communities in Nigeria and across all around the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Your Royal Highness. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much for coming on the show. This is where we wrap up our conversation today on Celebrate Today. It's been a ride all through from beginning to the end.
It's been fun, man.
Yes, it has. It has. So our word of the day says to travel is to discover that everyone is wrong about other countries. Well, that's Aldous Huxley. To travel is to discover that everyone is wrong about other countries. So just travel. That's the word. And discover yourself this week. Have a great weekend. No weekend. All right, guys.
Great week. Yeah.
See you tomorrow. Have a beautiful day. Bye bye.